Till my soul's hurt, but no materials could measure what my soul's worth. I wanted everything, felt like I had no choice. Young niggas wishing on a star like Rolls Royce. Being honest, killing mamas when we sold work. I made a promise, give me options and I cold turk. Sick of sitting on the side while it's game point. Recurring dream, trying to scream but ain't had no voice. Crazy lady speaking tongues, said it's gon' work. Never vocalized my visions, actions was my spokesperson. Study rich niggas moves like my homework. Sacrilegious, however, streets was my own church. Stained glass window in the benzo, lost in the instrumental. Please got me sentimental. Look at my car, look at my grill, look like a star. Look at my life, came up, nigga, we came so far. You see us, hey, you see us, nigga. Hey, look at my car, look at my grill, look like a star. Look at my life, came up, nigga, we came so far. You see us, hey, you see us, nigga. You don't put an actress on the floor. You don't never front line of war. You ain't never headline a tour.
Alright, welcome to another episode of DJM, Don't Judge Man. To my far right we have Jussa, we have Nye, we have Bedders. To my left we have Reeks, we have NK, and we have
HE aka Mr. Bourneville, boy. Best chocolate in Cabra's history.
So he's trying to get I think he's trying to get sponsored. Wait,
Shout out the best in Cabra's. You're right.
Best in Cabra's. Did he say best in Cabra's?
Yeah.
Best in Cabra's history. There's a street named after it. It's a real thing. There's got a whole section in Cabra's world just for this one ride.
Dead chocolate.
Just for this one ride.
Dead chocolate.
Sick chocolate blood.
I'm well confused. You're trying to get that sponsorship.
Them cooking chocolates, blood.
Trying to get that sponsorship. Yeah, I know from Bourneville, obviously, is trying to get that sponsorship. Obviously, HE Double is a man amongst the town, and he knows what's best around. And
you're taking the piss.
I'm just saying, I'm just trying to get you that P in it.
Them over 50s,
isn't
it? Over 50s.
Any fans, like if you are liking Bourneville or HE Double, obviously just tag us in your picture. In the Bourneville, holding the Bourneville chocolate.
Any fans that like Bourneville,
Hashtag
you're dead.
What a hater, don't listen to him. He's a hater. Hashtag Bourneville.
But yeah, let's start off. Obviously, you heard what we played at the start of this. Nipsey Hussle is sadly passed away.
Tragedy.
How or where did you find out the news? How did you feel? What's your thoughts on it?
I heard in a group.
In our group?
No.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was real at first, and then obviously went online and seen it confirmed.
I think with me, I think I was on Instagram at the night, obviously, which is their day, and it said rapper shot Nipsey. I thought, oh yeah, it's probably shot in the leg or somewhere, and then woke up to the news.
Same.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, I seen it on Instagram.
I woke up and I was like, yo, this is mad. April Fools at all times. I was begging for it to be a joke.
I thought it was a joke because that's when I seen it. I seen it on the 1st of April. I thought, oh, someone pissing about it's normal, isn't it? But
yeah, I didn't see it until
it wasn't.
Yeah, I got a couple missed calls and a message from my bro. My bro's want to put me onto Nip, and yeah, he messaged me once saying, yeah, he's been dead, or he's got shot in it. And then I did some research and stuff and found out like how and all these conspiracy theories. Are you with? Obviously, some of the things are it was government led. I've heard that it was like a disagreement between someone that you knew, an associate that you knew.
That's what I believe.
What's your thoughts? Do you think it was government led? Because obviously it was getting a documentary with Dr.
Sebi.
Yeah, Dr. Sebi coming out, and obviously he was known for having numerous businesses. He had his own publishing, his own rights to his music. So he was at a point where he didn't really need to ask for help from other people.
I think that's where it drew in the hate, quite a lot of hate against whether it be from the government, because he's a black man that's got his own platform and he's doing X, Y, and Z, and he's showing people that look, you can do it by yourself. It takes time, but you can do it. And I don't know. It's a lot of mixed feelings. A lot of different views on the whole Nick thing. Like with like the government, people saying, "Oh, it's the government and this and the other." But for me, I feel like there's a lot of fake love. A lot of celebrities posting pictures and all like statuses saying, "Oh, it's such a tragedy, this, that, and the other," but they're the ones that are living that lifestyle that could do exactly the same thing. That could market and bring people in and just show that, you know, I can stand on my own 2 feet.
To his grind.
But I feel like that was the alert to him. I think that there's a lot of music artists who could be doing a similar thing to him, but it's even at this level, it's scary doing stuff on your own, not going the usual route. So for artists who could even be in a bigger stand-in to him, but seeing what he's done, they could be in awe of I wish I had the balls to do that. That's what I'm saying. I
wouldn't say it was fake love. I was just like, everybody has everybody else has their choices and how they want to do things, but it was very clear early on in his career that his mission was a little bit more than rap music and the very things that drive a lot of the artists out there. And not many people have that foresight, or not many people plan their money before they get it. He had a particular lyric where he says, you know, where I dared to kind of live my wildest dreams and my plan thought out, which a lot of people don't dare, like what you just said. You know, they get the money, they're thinking about the money phones, all that, where as far as he's concerned, he's thinking, right, I can have a chain, but that 250 racks I'm spending on a chain could go into real estate and then flip into 450 racks. And then after that, I can start pouring that into my community. And say, for example, that whole thing about the lot that he's got with his shop on. That's the very lot that people were the guy was kicking him off that lot, and all the people like him hanging around. Yeah. And he turns around, buys the block, and then makes my man work for him. Yeah. Like,
I think he played the game.
He played the game the right way, and it's even the way that he would say like his affiliation. So I remember listening to an interview where Charlemagne was saying, "Oh, well, you know, what is your opinion on checking in?" And he's saying, "You know what, checking in for me is just like a nice way to extort someone. As far as I'm concerned, I feel that I'm solid in myself to say that I have relationships. So when I go to different cities, my relationships are the very things that essentially keep me safe and are allowed to kind of, you know, make me move how I move. And it's not a one-way thing. So therefore, the relationships are two-way. I get something from them, they get something from me. And even though it seems sometimes transactional, the way that we have fun in between is what keeps it human."
Okay, am I saying that? So what do you man believe then? Do you man think that it was?
I'm not buying into the Dr. CB thing, because really and truly, that's only for me. That's the tip of the iceberg. Because if they really wanted to silence someone over his teachings, his like Dr. CB's son, who's practicing the same stuff as him, would be dead by now. His family would be wiped out, and they'll take all proof of anything that has ever been spoken on YouTube, everything like that. However, I do feel that for someone in that position where the narrative is you are part of a gang and you are your typical average hood black guy, this is the box that we put you in, and this is the box that we expect everyone to follow. Now you're showing that actively you don't have to live like that, and it could be very fruitful, and you're initiating wealth, not riches, wealth into your community. And as a result of that, you are buying back the very shackles that were put on you. That's a very dangerous message as far as uprisings are concerned in the eyes of the beholder. So it's a very easy thing to say, oh yeah, you know, a black guy ran up on him, shot him in the hood, it's gang related. It's a very easy thing to tie up, and that's where I am at.
Do you think a lot of people recognise what he was doing? These things?
No, I don't. What, in terms of just the positive stuff?
I don't think they really knew. So
no. And I think that's because if you look at press and the publicity. You say the right thing, you do the right thing, you very rarely see the recognition. You do say, I can remember Chris Brown, was he in Paris? And there was accusations that the rape, the amount of uproar that caused, it turned out, like, she even said, I lied, it was fake, and there was, I don't know if there was footage or there was definitely some transcripts of her, like, consenting to whatever they did, but there wasn't the same sort of it was in it, and I feel that's the same if someone does something right, whether they're giving back to the community, because I know he had various businesses. He was employing people from the area he was from. Unless you sort of,
his career was it even like just now?
Yeah, and I feel like unless you are passionate, not even passionate, unless you've got an interest in that artist or any artist, you don't really know the positives they do in the streets or in the community. All you hear about is what makes the news. Oh, he did this or he did that or he cheated on her, or.
And that's why I kind of feel this whole government thing, I don't really think it's that.
Yeah,
that's the easy. I feel like that's the easy way to say, oh yeah, it's gang related. But for me, like when he tweeted something like your enemies are like the closest ones to you.
Yeah,
and that was like having strong enemies.
Having strong enemies or something like that. That was like an hour before that whole situation.
And that's why I thought, from hearing that tweet, I thought to myself, maybe he's had an argument with this guy, and this guy's come back and done what he did.
But for me, if you're having an argument with somebody, and you know that there's going to be some form of retaliation. When that guy's work, I've seen the video, the footage of the video that I put in the group. It was just of the guy walking up. It's quite far away, so you can't actually see. But you just see him walk up, and he walks right up to like where they are, and there's no like. There's a guy like leaning against the car, and there's no like maneuvers where like a man like, oh, something happy to go down. Like it was just quite. It was like relaxed, like and and disrespect of him kicking him in the face when he after he shot him. Like I just don't understand. And now like this guy apparently I read some on Twitter that this guy's family have been shot. Some of this guy's family have been shot now. So what's your man's views on that? Do you feel like if that's the life, if that's the way someone's going to go about something, those are the kind of things those are the kind of repercussions that happen.
I think this all ties into grief for me, even down to conspiracies. I feel like I was watching like an old Kevin Hart comedy show, and he was on about like I think. Did his grandma die or someone died? And they're like, yeah, how did he die? Cancer. Like, yeah, tell cancer I'm gonna shoot cancer.
No, his mom, innit?
Yeah, it was his mom. Yeah. And I feel like people just handle grief a certain way. So I feel like for some people to rationalise the fact that he's gone,
it helps them come to
it helps them. Like, yeah, it's got to be government because there's no way no one else would take him out. It's got to be government.
People just want answers.
And I feel it's part of grief. Like some people fully believe it. I'm not saying it's completely wrong, but they think that, well, he was doing so much right. Why would someone want to take his life? It's got to be someone who, or a government who are wanting to see the black man down. So I feel like grief will allow stories or different
The
stories.
joke is, I heard someone say that. I don't know whether it was on the Breakfast Club or what, but someone said that his death alarms him in a way where he generally feels that the laws, it was that minute where he's like the laws of engagement as far as humanity is concerned is severely challenged. For someone to do that much good and give back to his community and literally show people how to be either reformed or live the right way, and still that positive energy doesn't come back around and turns into something quite hateful, concerns him, because really and truly we some of us live on the premise to say we get what we give out. So whether that's negative energy or whether that's positive energy, a lot of people make a positive change in order to get that positive energy back, so that therefore they're fueled to do better things and be better people. Now imagine that his death is kind of like the opposite or the exact other thing that we expect for that to happen, because really and truly he put positive energy out. He did everything that you could possibly do to ensure that positivity was not just on him, but on the people that he impacted, and it didn't come back. It's resulted in his death.
But then that's why I kind of semi feel like it was there's more to it than that. I don't feel like it's just there's something more that's there that we're probably not going to be privy to knowing. And
I think
the thing that makes me think there might be more to it is because how many unsolved like murders of that type are there? But then they've got this guy's name like
quick as well.
A day later. Do you know what I mean?
They've got 20 miles away.
They've got cameras. They've got cameras outside the shop. So,
but then they've got there's shootings and stuff that happen with cameras everywhere, but people still get away with it. That's to me was just a bit like.
Because I think that ties down to a topic that we've been covering over since week one, which is if you're someone of power or someone of money, the police or the whole system has to. So for them, like especially in that community where he's from, if they need to get him soon as for their own safety, for the community's own safety, because like you say, if the script comes out that it was government led, then police are about to get done. If they think it's the right, they have to sort of like, yo, this is priority. And obviously, there's deaths every day. But.
Yeah, 100%. But you see, the two things that bother me the most is that this guy is well respected, and that there is his own. Like that parking lot is his own. That whole block there is his own. And for me, for somebody to walk up and do that, and there be nobody around that's going to bust back, or no one that's there in like defense. That's kind of that. That's
a shock tactic though, because you wouldn't expect it.
That's
an area that you not control, but you have a lot of emphasis on helping. It's the last thing that you're going to think is going to happen, right?
That's his safe zone. Like that's not only his place of work. It's his comfort. It's his everything that is him is that place. So if the story's right from what I've read, like they had his brethren as well. Yeah, it was like the disagreement was apparently the guy was an informant or it was an issue.
It's supposed to be an informant.
So if Nipsey's saying I don't want you part of this.
Well, he's got bunions on him already, though, right? He's a known murderer.
But that had to be to just do that. That's why I believe that there's more to it than that. Like, and for me, for me, the fact that Nip and Rock Nation was supposed to go and have a meeting with the LAPD to just try and solve gang crime. For me, that's like a massive step in history to try and move forward and try and work together with the police as a collaboration and try and figure out interventions and methods, a way of preventing these problems. So that could have been a way for, I'm not saying again the government, but for me,
if you're going to use anyone, it'd be someone disposable who's got a body on them, who's going to be buried under the
someone that you can literally hide a narrative behind.
Yeah,
especially when you unearth some of their past or whatever. Because I read something where there was like, killer found, whatever his name is, a blood from Crenshaw, and you're thinking, first thing that you're going to think when what Nips talks about blue laces, you're thinking, gang related. So he's an op, as well as someone that he knows. Come on, man. And then just off that, it's an easy narrative to throw out there. Like you say, it's disposable.
You say it's easy, but there's always going to be haters somewhere.
That's what I was going to say.
He was trying to do positive moves. No matter what, there's still going to be people who hate those moves. Nips is changing. Even though he's changing for the better, but they don't like the fact that he's changing. So it's easy to gun him down,
like
him out the way.
It's a saying, but even Jesus had haters, and I'm not saying that we all have to be of that religion. But if someone, as the story says, was doing so good, and he still had people who wanted to crucify him, then no matter how much, like you say, how much positive light you put in, there's people who are either afraid of that positive light, envious of that positive light. It's various different emotions, but
then not to harp too much on religion, the haters were the people that were part of the establishment that he had a direct challenge towards. He was changing things out of the original power system. So it's wide open, innit? It's wide open. Obviously, until the facts come out and we start to realise, how things go in turn. Everything that we talk about is speculation, I guess. But
I think we're all in agreement that it's a big loss, not only to the music industry, but I think to I think to the world. I was going to say to Black Lives, but I don't even think it's just Black Lives. I think he was such a positive light that I think he inspired so many people.
Yeah, like my little brother said to me, like he was like his generation of Tupac.
Yeah,
and I believe that.
And that,
he's a pioneer.
That's how I relate. Like, there's a lot of artists. Not just rap artists, but there's a lot of artists who can say the right thing, they might do the right thing, they might get someone out of prison who shouldn't be in. But I feel like he didn't really say much, but his actions, and that's for me. Although I talk a lot, and I like people who are vocal, actions is really where I'm at.
When you shut somebody down by not just saying, boom, I'm going to do that.
No, not even shutting, this is me. And not only that, it's how much I see in the passion for his wife. Obviously, I did like Lauryn Hill, but Lauren London, sorry. But just the love he had for it, regardless of the industry that he was in. It was something to be admired. So I think the overall man, not just a music artist, it's a loss. It's a loss to me.
But the marathon still continues.
Yeah, well, that's what I say. Yeah, real jiggers don't die, they multiply. So hopefully that inspires not only his offspring, but other people, other peers to continue. Because I heard Nick Cannon's going to continue. Nick Cannon's
going to be continuing. T.I.'s jumping on it.
Yeah, T.I.
Jay-Z's just gave $15 million to a trust fund for Nipsey's kids.
Yeah,
so you know that just goes to show that he's
doing for his kids.
Yeah, trust fund.
I seen something about what T.I. put as well, where he said like the streets are dead to him. They've killed Nipsey. They left Zimmerman.
Right then.
Yeah.
That was I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. Like that. Just like obviously it's a different code to how the majority of people live, but the street code. You're thinking, what Nipsey really deserved it, and Zimmerman. I'm not trying to weigh up people's lives, but if you're going by the streets, then
it should have been roles in reverse. But yeah, man, rest in peace, Nip. 100%, man.
I think that also leads us on to the next topic, which is if you was in a position of wealth or position enable you to move your family or yourself, would you still live in the hood or live in the areas you were brought up in, or would you completely leave? What's the thoughts on that? Now, what are you thinking? Brexit.
Go on. Go on. I think it's it's essential not to forget where you come from, 100%, because you never know where you lose the direction. You don't know where you're going to go. But if you come into wealth, are you going to be accepted in the same environment that you grew up in? Based on jealousy, as we've just seen in the example of Nips, he's trying to do good, and it kind of bit him back. But personally, how much wealth are we talking?
I'll be honest. You've said the key word there. Wait. Sorry. You just got the Uber.
Ooh, Cameronese over here. Yeah, man. Better.
What?
Cannavaro, mate.
Yo, Cameronese.
Sorry, like, you just threw me off, mate. Just threw me off.
Well, I know we're going to be discussing a little bit about this.
That's why you had the shades on, innit?
Foresight.
Yo, you got foresight and salt bay all the way over here. Man.
Who's foresight?
Bruce.
Man like Bruce.
I think with wealth.
No, wait. Sorry to cut you. Have we established how much wealth it is?
That's where I was going. You said the word wealth.
Yeah.
That's automatically above riches. Like that's assets. That's everything. Like why? I didn't think that was what you.
I think people in general. Say if you get a job, a good pay rise, etc., you're going to look to try and buy potentially a better house, a better car. When you get the financials, you try to. Most people start to live beyond their means, to be honest. But let's say, for argument's sake, a lottery win, I'm gone. There's no way I can be around.
You won't be safe.
I'd be gone from
you wouldn't be safe. There's two things here. First of all, so
I'm robbing you.
First of all,
never in life. But anyway.
He'll set a cartel on you, innit?
Never in life. But yeah. You've got this one here. You've got this one.
Takes your money.
Now people know you've got money, so there's no big man, I ain't even got it. You know, everyone expects it, and you can't really say no to it. Well, you can obviously, but they know that you've got it, so it's like, oh.
So how do they know that you've got it? Then?
Anybody approaching me about your big man, you got, right?
But that's the thing with money, you can't hide money. No, if you've got money, you can't hide it. No.
Yeah, but if you make that many millions, are you really gonna just sit on it and live your normal life?
No, because we still not established how much we're talking.
We're talking mills. I'm saying mills.
Because you're gonna get a new job and you can have a new car and
working again.
You're talking mills.
You look like you got money.
Oh my gosh! What the?
You can't hide it.
He can't hide that.
What's the next one? What's that watch called, mate?
No, this one's chill. This one's called
Chill. He's got a name. It's got a name.
What a liar!
Oh my days!
Yo, zoom in on the watch.
Yeah, it's called Chill. You've got one
Chill.
called Relax. Yeah. You got one called Icy.
Exactly.
3x3, innit?
So if you was wealthy, people are gonna know, right?
I don't know what. I don't know what you're on about.
I'm gonna let you have your moment.
Yeah. But yeah, no. If I had that kind of money, I'd be gone.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, because I ain't got the money.
So wait. Is he not saying that he's only here with money?
He's trying to leverage
I'd
yourself,
gone
yeah?
otherwise.
Oh, see, alright.
Leverage yourself.
I don't think he's even. You can't.
I don't know how he's just said that.
So
he's
what-
here
what-
because he's broke.
Yeah, what?
I said he's here because
I've
he's
never
broke.
been broke.
We's broke mates.
Nah.
We're definitely his broke.
You
How many
we're
got
broke
money in the
mates,
group, remember?
Everyone's got money.
What card did you use today?
That was a running joke.
What card did you use today?
I ain't got no money. I'm broke.
Who?
Huh?
Um,
I think for me,
Okay.
I like the lessons you learn as a child in the hood or in the area that you grow up from. So I wouldn't want, like, obviously if I'm wealthy, I don't think I'd have my children go to a private school.
Can you imagine though?
Like, that's what I don't, because
Like
I
me
see, I see
in a
how
private
the
school,
world,
like a mini me in a private school.
I see how people are.
Carry
And obviously,
on.
there's more opportunity, and
Character
and
building.
you might learn. You might be academically more suited, or you might be improved academically going to a private school. But I think
Street
life
smarts.
lessons,
Street smarts.
But
life,
I think
yes,
that-
street
but I think that'd be
smarts.
for you to teach a child.
Exactly that.
Like, I think education, if you can put your child in a position where they can better themselves through education, and they're getting I say better education, through the private
bit more
system,
efficient.
yeah, then I don't see why not,
But I
because
feel that's what I'd give my child. I'd do the education side. I'd still
homeschool.
not homeschool, but the things that I think they need to look, because obviously you don't even learn about taxes in school.
Yeah,
So
but
that sort of stuff.
You know, private school, a lot of people, the people that you're rubbing shoulders with, like the parents and the other children, they are around situations where me personally, couldn't fathom. The people that you're meeting, like you might be meeting people that are in Fortune 500 businesses, but you might not get that in a public school. So yeah, if I had the money, I would do that. But I know what you're saying about the street smarts, but that's for you as a parent to do that, I think.
You know what? For me, I feel like I had this conversation the other day, to be fair, about like the whole school situation. Obviously, I'm expecting, and
Congrats.
yeah, appreciate it, thanks. The whole, like, again, like we spoke about before, I was one of the ones that failed from the education system. I didn't get nothing from the educational system, and if I could go back, that'd be the only one thing in life that I kind of regret not doing, is getting an actual education. So for me, I kind of thought about that, the whole process of maybe sending my daughter to private school, and it's not like it kind of is like forcing to get an education, because in those kind of settings, everyone's about getting an education. No one's really there to kind of mess things up, because you paid for that. That's the service you paid for. So your child is going to be she will get the education. So I kind of get that the whole life lesson in terms of like the road side of it, or like just the logical side, like understanding, like socializing, not awkward, not because I feel like because I work in schools, I find that in some of the, and I say bumpkin is like the countryside kind of schools that I work in, the kids there, like they're low level destruction and just little basic things, like they're just too giddy and too hyper, whereas in like the inner city schools, it's like proper real stuff that they're struggling with, and it stems from like families and all these different things. But I feel like you can teach your child the way of how to socialize and to be involved. A lot of the time it's kids having kids, so it's difficult because these people that are having kids don't know the way themselves. But I feel like you can break that mold. 100% you can break that mold. And
I went to private school still.
Did you?
Yeah.
so you look like money, innit?
But primary or secondary?
No, right.
Not private.
Not before that, nursery.
Okay.
Nursery, yeah.
And like I think that was my mum and dad's kind of ethos, like get him kind of where he can
Develop the work ethic.
But no, I feel that's on the parents to, not even just the parents, like family around, to keep you grounded and focused on, I don't know, because the things that you're probably getting taught culturally in those schools isn't what we know culturally ourselves, and that's where I think it would be the family and friends to be able to do that. So
diversity is good though, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So you can go to a public school, private school, shall I say, and get that education, knowledge that you wouldn't get in a state school. But then when you go home in your home environment, you're still surrounded by not Joe Blogs, but you're surrounded by the people that you would associate yourself with in public school. So you're getting the best worlds. I don't think personally there's a right answer. I think it's individual differences.
I think that's what this discussion is. Yeah, just seeing what.
Sorry, NK. Do you feel like, obviously, you're saying that the education system failed you, or you said, yeah. Do you feel that's affected you in life?
It's a difficult one for me, because I feel like if I would have had an education and would have got something from school, then maybe I wouldn't have took the risk and the path that I decided to take. Whereas I didn't necessarily have that option or that choice to do that. Like, I didn't have that choice. For me, I made that choice based on how my environment. I made that choice on my environment. So the people that I was around, that's the kind of lifestyle I lived, as opposed to then trying to go to college and then redo everything and then, try again. I ended up doing that at 21. So,
but you say
that was the transition I made. So I spent all that time from well, I came out of secondary school quite early. So from talking about 12, 13, I spent all that time bullshitting, doing nothing up until 21. Then I'm sitting in a classroom full of 16-year-olds getting basic English and maths. Embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie, it was embarrassing. But again, for me as a person living it at the time, it was embarrassing, because I'm sitting in this. I could have done this already. I could have been and got this education before, so I'm having to go back and do it again.
Well, then was that a state school that you went to?
Yeah.
So do you think that facilitated your learning?
You know, it is. I just didn't value education on a whole.
You think that would have changed if you went to private school?
I think if I went to private school, being the person I was and the environment that I lived in, I don't think I could have gone to private school living in the environment I lived in
and been different.
Because I feel like I'd have gone to that private school and I probably would have made money in school and got kicked out the same way. So again, I don't know, maybe my environment, I was a product of my environment when it came to school and education, whereas I let that drive me and fuel me, as opposed to getting something from school and then looking for other things to drive and keep my motivation on track.
On the flip side, like, look where you are now.
Oh,
so maybe all that had to happen in order for you to be the person that you are now, because you would need an experience like you've had in order to be able to give back the way that you give back,
or to understand what you don't.
Yeah, so
exactly.
That's again. I like to use a lot of real life experience when I'm delivering workshops to these kids of today, and I always say to them, like, try and get an education, because I didn't do it, and I had to come back and do it when I was 21, and I'm sitting in a classroom full of kids that I was the oldest in the class, and it was just embarrassing for me. But it's exactly the same as if you don't get nothing from school and you go in on a basic entry level course. You're gonna have to go through them same questions and tests again. You're gonna have to do basic English and maths, basic whatever it is the subject that you're gonna be doing. So you're gonna be spending another 2-3 years wasted when you've already had 9 years, 13 years in I was gonna say prison, but in the system of school. Why waste that precious time trying to get an education, fucking about and messing around in school, excuse my language, but to just go back and do it again in college? Because that's a lot of that's where I feel like aspiration in as a whole in school and the education system is quite wrong. Like, everyone's got different learning styles.
I agree with that, and I think one thing, like I say, I do like the concept of my children, when I eventually have them, to be street smart. But I feel like a lot of like state schools, public schools, teach you how to be great employees, and from my views, it looks like private schools teach you how to be great bosses. Not only is they entrepreneurs, as bosses.
How to actually boss life.
So I feel like, even for me, I was in and out of, not in and out of school in terms of exclusion, but just my focus. As a teenager, like, sport was my big thing, and it was only certain teachers who captured me. Like, it's sort of like, this teacher's alright, or the way they construct this lesson, whether it was maths, English, geography, drama, whatever I did, I wouldn't say it was always the subject. It was more how the teaching styles,
right?
Yeah. And I feel that's something what's missing. I feel a lot of teachers now are pressured. Again, me being the that industry, education industry, I see it. So I don't think there's that as much care as there used to be.
I feel sorry for teachers.
Yeah,
I genuinely do. Like,
because
it's a
obviously
hard
even
job.
the punishments now. Like, I'm not saying we go back to hitting, or do you know what I mean? They used to do the rulers and slapping the wrist. Like, this is back in the day.
Don't you feel like there's more teachers now that look like us? Like, obviously, you do teach like some sort of teaching.
I was saying that at school.
But I don't feel like when I was at school there was anyone that I could say looked like me in school that could even. I would remotely be able to like understand my situation or
Remember Rocky?
Yeah. Like, there's a lot more mentors that come into schools and work in provisions and other places like that.
There wasn't any of that.
There weren't none of that before.
None of that.
And for me, I messed around in school. Like, I've got into education later on in life. Like, I'm about to study in September, and like when I left school, poor maths, poor English, I had to resit in college, but I had to pay for it.
Yeah.
So when I try and talk to the young people, it's like, you've got an opportunity to get your maths and English and leave school. Don't waste it, because later on in life, when you have to pay for it, it's not worth it. You've got the chance to get that for free. Why not make the most of that now? But a lot of people's mindsets in schools, probably more in public schools, is that they don't want to be there, and it's the masses now.
Yeah.
There's probably about 100 kids who your children will want to hang around with because they're the cool kids who they've got no ambition.
Cycle, though, like from when we was young.
You have to change the mindset. So it takes more people like us going into schools and showing people that you can get something out of education, even if it is a bit later. I will always push education for the young people that I work with, just to say, don't waste it, because no matter what job you go to, they're still asking for maths, English, other qualifications. You still always need these, unless you're going to lie and you can blag your way through. And some people have done that, but you will hit a wall at one stage. Have I ever lied? No.
I've
I've ever lied about education. No.
You know,
you jazz up your CV a little bit.
You know, on that whole situation, is like I always say to them, like, this is one of the things that I always say. I says, like, you know, if you've got one qualification and I've got none, and we both go for the same job, you're more likely to be able to hold a conversation with the employer, because they're just going to sidetrack me. Whether I've got the most experience and I'm worthy for the job, I'm probably better suited for the job than you. But because you've got that one thing on your CV, you're more likely to be able to hold a conversation. And that's what it is, being able to have that conversation. Because a lot of the time, if you haven't got something, they're just going to look past you. Because
sometimes
sometimes
you can't get in the room.
You can't even get in the room. Your CV, what it says on there, a lot of people get the job just based on, or the interview, based on that. Like you said, you might be better for that job, but this guy over here has got all the qualifications that says he can do it, and he can prove that. And they will get you in for the job interview. Did you get that interview? No, I didn't even.
You see, sometimes though, I think the view in which we have, like, you've got to go through the education system, you've got to go through, like, get your GCSEs, go college, go uni, all of which I did, and I'm in a comfortable position at the moment. But I don't think that's the be all and end all of it, because when you don't have to go that route in order to be successful, right? So whatever we put into our heads when we're in school, it's like, you need to do this and this. What about those people that don't want to do that? Because in my position, I need a degree to have my job, but if I was my own business owner and I didn't have a degree, I'd be looking to employ people that do have degrees. So
real talk.
It's a flip side.
Yeah, and do you know, I think the key thing for that is knowledge is power. Knowing how to get where you want to get. So I don't know if I spoke before, but I do this thing called Raising Aspirations. So I work with like 10, 11-year-olds. So it's like watered down careers. And there's conversations that we have, like we go, what's the pros and cons of your personality? And there was one child who was like, yeah, I'm very, like, as a con, she's like, I'm very argumentative, but I always think I'm right. So, but teachers say I'm always argumentative. I was like, well, where could that be used? She's like, I don't know. I was like, well, you could be an MP. You could be the Prime Minister. She's like, what's that? She didn't even know what a Prime Minister was. But I was like, they defend and argue the case for people that they're supporting, or people that want their support. She's like, what? And she didn't even know that sort of concept. So from her thinking a con or negative of hers was like being argumentative,
Flipped
turned into thinking
Actually, a big strength.
and then whether she's gone and looked at, obviously I still feed into what that entails, but alone then thinking, do you know what, actually that could be a positive. It's the same thing. I'm not very good at I'm dyslexic, I can't read very well, but I'm very good audio, and just knowing that your pros and cons can still be used for whatever your passion is. So that's what I mean about knowledge is power, because some people really knowing, like I struggle with Pythagoras' theory, like to this day I'm just like, what is that?
Would you ever use it?
That's what I'm saying.
Would you ever use it?
But if I was if I was really like down on myself, like I'm not very good at this, and do you know what? Maybe I'm just not very good at like all that subject. Do you know what I mean? So I think that sometimes it's about just knowing where your passion is and how
I totally get what you're saying. I'm not saying I don't. I totally agree with what you're saying. But I feel on the flip side of it is that you're in this environment. You've got to be in school. There's no way that you can't be in school. So is it going to do you any? Are you going to be worse off not getting an education?
Oh no, not at all. No. But
that's what I'm saying. So
that's the situation you're in.
living,
You've got to go to school, so you might as well make the most of it.
Take something from it. That's my everyone's different. So again, when you leave school, even if you choose not to go into anything, you want to try and do something. You've got something.
Yeah, but you've got something. You've got your GCSEs there. Nobody can take them away from you once you've got them.
Even if you get average. Basic 4s or 3s, whatever.
You can go on.
Ones,
You've still got things.
You've got something that you can leave with, not just where, you didn't attend. So then you've got to go at some point. If you, for instance, want to do something like that, you're going to have certain criteria and certain things. So even again, it's just even if it's just basic.
No,
it's not going to do you wrong.
There's pros and cons to both sides.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree.
But there's no point in going through all the way half your life in education and just leave it with nothing. You're just wasting it. You know, because there's a lot of kids that refuse to get out of bed, and you're like, your parents are going to get the fine. These are expensive fines. Are you going to be able to help your mum pay some of these fines? No, because I'm in bed. You're not. You're not doing your mum any favours. You're not doing yourself any favours. So what's the point? You might as well get a little something out of it. But for me personally, in terms of education and the young people at this moment in time, a lot of them have no aspirations. A lot of them have no ambitions. They don't want to do anything.
I wouldn't say have no. I think just don't know
how to tap into what they
how to even know what they're like. So a lot of young people I see, young adults, don't even know what they're good at. That all they know is selfies or social media. They don't actually know what they're good at and how that could be used for their community or how it could be used for their future.
That's even just young people. I think that's even
I'm one of them people. I'm one of them people.
People stay in jobs for years, saying, and complaining they don't like the job, whatever, because they don't know what they're good at, but they don't even explore that.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
True. So, listen, I didn't know what I wanted to do up until probably about 5 years before now.
And you're doing what you want to do now.
I'm doing what I want to do now, and then I'm in a position where I can look into passion projects and exterior business because,
man losing there.
Hashtag double. Hashtag Ball Bill. Holla at me for the plug. But sometimes you have to go through these things in life to understand what you are good at. But sometimes it takes encouragement from people that can see something in you that you don't see to help you steer your own path. I didn't get that until late, but with the right direction in school systems, with the right directions at home, because let's face it, there's some parents out there, no matter what school you go to, the way that they see life is completely out of sorts. There's some people that don't even believe in helping their kids with homework because they feel it's a waste of time because they could be doing this and that. Even us growing up to a certain extent, I'm not saying every parent at this table, but I'm saying there were parents that were parallel to our parents that were saying, what's the point in doing all this at school? What's the point in you kicking a football when you need to be ready to have a full-time job at some point? Because that's just the environment that they're used to, and that's what their values are. So at the end of the day, it just takes for you to either believe in yourself or have somebody drive that belief, so you then know what you are capable of, and then you do great things off the back of that.
But with that though, I think there's a lot of, I feel like the role models of today are negative. A lot of the role models right there are quite a lot of negative.
Depends on where you're looking for your role models. That's the thing.
But then that just talking about like the aspiration side of things, a lot of these people that these young people are seeing are on social media, and they're very socialites. They're out there. They're all YouTubers and all these other people. And like I've watched a few videos of like some YouTubers and where they're interacting with fans and stuff, and they do like get them to ask one question, and like a lot of the time they ask, "Oh, how do I get like you? How do I do what you're doing?" And one time for KSI, shout out to KSI, he was like, "I've been in this game 15 years. I've been in this game 10 years. I started off doing just FIFA videos, and look where I am now. It takes hard work."
That's the key thing.
You know what it is? You don't see all that graph behind the scenes. You just see the success. And again, people just think, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to do YouTube for a bit. I'm just going to turn into a YouTuber."
We had that same conversation where we was asking our children like, "What do you want to be when you're older?" A lot of them said YouTuber, which was just alien to me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Huh?" But so I had to do a bit of digging and watch a few like YouTubers, and I was like, "So what do you need to do?" It's like, "Well, I just need to get on YouTube." I was like, "Well, you need to be clued up on whatever topic you're talking about. You're going to need editing skills, you're going to need this, you're going to need that, you're going to need to know how to present. If you're reading off something, you're going to need to know how to read." But there's a lot of stuff what they just think YouTuber, that they just think, "Yeah, I just have to play a game, or I just have to talk about this, or I just have to open this game." So don't see the fact that getting in front of a camera is not easy. It's not easy, guys. It's not easy.
Especially talking to yourself. Trying to joke yourself. That's what a lot of these videos are. Him just sat there, just talking to himself.
Don't get it twisted. They're partially right. They do have to go out there and show the world their passion or whatever they believe in. So if it is like, I don't know, Fortnite vids, you know, they have to be good at Fortnite, or they have to have a passion for Fortnite to play. But like what you said, Huge, there's a whole load of things that go into that before you even get to play Fortnite, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, in order to sustain longevity, it's the stuff that comes after, the analytical stuff, knowing your audience, understanding what the likes and dislikes, who's tuning in at one particular time, and then using that to kind of propel your platform even further, using the feedback. Not many people even know how to understand and use feedback to help grow their passions. But it's the same or their businesses.
It's the same kids that are truant in the media lessons that want to be YouTubers.
It's wild. It's wild.
Lack of understanding.
But that's I think you have to. It's sort of relatable. You have to try and make whatever they're missing from school relatable to how it could improve their future.
First things first, people, relatable people. Because it is no good. You're not going to sit there and listen to Joe Blogs who's got a tie on and just stand here, whether it's going to be boring and say, "Right, this is how we're going to do maths, guys. Get your pens, get your papers, boom, do it. This is, I've gave you the work, let's just do it. And I sit there marking, because that's what it is in essence. That's what a lot of these supply teachers that come in, they're given work they're given work, they have to go in, give out the worksheets, just get on with the work and just manage behaviours, little disruptions and whatever else. That's what it is, that's the educational system. But again, there's not enough people out there that want to be. I wouldn't put myself in a position to be a teacher.
I'd like to do the behavioural side of it, but I wouldn't want to be an actual teacher. Like,
I was asked a few years ago to get my teaching degree, but it worked for me. I didn't feel that my skill set could pass on to be a teacher. But in terms of the behavioural side, I was good at that. I could manage behaviours, and I was good at passing over my own experiences to the young people and where I've been and what I've done, to help them with their behaviours. But in terms of doing an English lesson and a maths lesson and plans and all that stuff, I couldn't do it. I did it for about 6 months, and I had to talk to my manager. I was like, "It's not for me. I know I'm stress. I'm helping you out." And he was like, "Well, I couldn't do it." And then little things were starting to annoy you, like certain behaviours that I would normally be able to handle like that. It's like I added pressure on top of marking these papers, getting certain.
You lose that relatability.
Yeah,
you lose that little bit of respect that you get from them, because they automatically then they rate you as a person. Initially. You've gone from being that relatable person to somebody now that's in charge of
that's oversight.
It's not the same.
You're no longer on the ground anymore.
I just want you to do your work. That's all I want you to do. Shut up, don't talk to me. Then you go in as bedders. boom.
Yeah.
Come on, mate. You know what you got to get.
Bedders is gone now. It's
And you
Mr.
only catch
Bedwood,
them.
and that's it. And I don't like that.
Yeah, you catch
Come
them
on,
when
just
you
do your
need
work, and you try and be as relatable as possible when you are teaching. But in terms of how they perceive you, it's lost because you need them to do that work now. It's not, oh, I can you just behave. You know, we'll get by today. But no, I actually need you to do this work. So come on now, because I'll get in trouble now. But they don't see it that way. So it's,
whereas if before you would have said them, you'd have said to them as bedders, yo, come on, man, I need you to do this work.
Yeah,
They'd
just
be like, yeah, man, cool, I don't mind. Cool. But then you say it as Mr. Bedwood, it's a totally
when it's a
different
requirement.
conversation.
When it's a requirement and not a choice, it changes things.
But one thing that I looked in, or I'm still sort of looking into the prospects of doing, is like owning a school or running my own school. And obviously, it wouldn't be like a Monday to Friday because there's so many logistics and so many like hoops to jump through. But I'm thinking like a weekend school, and it's especially if it's myself running it or myself part of it, it'll be like a boys to men. So teaching boys how to grow up to be men and what skills to have and how to sort of live in this society currently. But that's definitely something that I'm wanting to like look into in terms of having a platform or having somewhere where the life lessons that they may not learn in school, having the ability to go to an interview as a black male or as someone in the city and look into the interviewer's eyes and shake his hand and knowing how to communicate. Cause I think
that etiquette.
Yeah, the etiquette. Because I think a lot of times it's that sort of, I'm cool on the road. I know how to handle myself on the road, but I have to put a tie on. Put shirt and have to shake someone's
big man.
It's difficult. I went to a meeting with a young person out of school and I'm battling with him in the car to take his hood down. And he said, I'm not taking my hood down. And we're having this 20-minute discussion about how it looks. We're going there to show that you've bettered yourself over the past year. Just taking your hood down may be in your favour. One of the fighting factors against whether you can go back to school or not, because they still will see you as that
association, isn't it?
And young people can't see it. My hood's up, and
for me, this is a whole different ball game again. Because yes, all right, people associate hoodies with certain acts and certain types of demographics, but at the same time, if that is you, who's to say that you should compromise to conform?
I agree to a certain extent.
Yeah, so there's
if it's to better yourself, you've got to take the hood down.
No, but I think if it's a requirement of a job, so for example, if someone's going for if someone's going for a sports job, the hoodie could be in use. If you're going for a bank teller or a lawyer, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I mean. That's why I think it's always about relatability to what you're going for. And I'm like, there's a few fashion shows that I've been to. I'm not dressing up in like shirt and tie. I'm wearing a hood, and that's how I feel comfortable. So I feel I agree with you to a point that don't just conform to what everyone wants you to wear. But I feel like agreeing with you to a point where if it's needed, if that's the requirement, is that the requirement?
If it's a requirement,
that's your uniform. Isn't it? You've got to understand and have that knowledge of knowing what's acceptable and what isn't. So, and that's a skill set, because if these children can't go to school without the hoodie on, you're not going to essentially get an education, because you're not going to be taught. The same way if you go into a meeting or an interview with trainers on and it's a shirt and tie event, you ain't getting a job. Or you're not going to be viewed as a relatable individual. Do you know what I mean?
You have to be go to a nightclub with a hat on. I was going to say
it happens.
Wait, he's talking about hats. Wait, he's talking about hats. What are you saying about hats?
I learned my footwear.
Footwear.
Not tonight.
But you feel vexed, though. In terms of club, I feel vexed when I get turned.
You see, with that though, today I posed a question to because I did like a quiz thing with I asked a load of questions to my students today, and I said, what do you think about wearing school uniform in school? And one of my students, quite a bright kid, he says, I think you should wear uniform in school, because it's for those kids that don't necessarily have that kind of money that can keep up with the trends and keep up with the fashion, and those are the ones that will get bullied. And he says, look, there's kids in school that have got nasty uniforms. That's just how it is. But those were the ones that would get bullied if we didn't have uniforms. So I think uniforms are a good idea. And then the whole group sat back and went, "You're right. You know what? I never seen that. I never seen it like that until you just mentioned it.
Uniform days are pressure for some people.
Yes, it's true. So imagine having 5 days of pressure where you've got to pick a different outfit for 5 days.
Because woe betide you wear the same thing more than once. Wow. It could be over top for you still.
I think uniform, especially in schools, I think it brings a sense of pride. I know when I was at school, I used to love wearing my uniform, blue coat gang.
Blue coat gang. Navy jackets.
Yo, Ellis right there, you know.
Blazer!
Ellis right there, you know. Yo, Ellis.
Ellis
right there, you know. Yo, Ellis Guildford.
Lord Reagan pipe down in the boxes,
Who?
Ginobili City Technology College, mate.
CTC,
You get me, man! You man!
These lot weren't even there when it changed the name.
Yeah, TCC, blood.
Bad boy school, blood.
Shout out to Weldon, I was only there for 1 year. I was there for 1 year.
My way Haywood still.
That's fake. Why shout out to school he left?
1 year, mate.
I like school.
I didn't leave, I got kicked out.
Should have come Ellis, man. Should have come Ellis.
You know, my rap sheet was too long, man.
So we're going to move on. I don't know if you've seen in the media. Well, you would have seen the constant racism in football.
Yesterday.
I know, obviously, we normally cover sport in Fergie time, but I feel like this is such a big topic that we might not even get to finish it today. But I think it's something that we should cover. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen. Well, actually, as I Juve
the right team as well. Look at that. I don't know how you can wear it.
Yeah.
Why? Why not?
Bonucci, yeah?
And Italy, blood.
Key. Moise, you got that.
Mad.
Like, I don't know if you've seen the situation. Do you know the situation?
Yeah. So he was getting for quite a lot of the game was getting monkey noises chatted at him, which is another. Well, it's quite regular. It quite used to happen quite often in the Italian league. Just like when Balotelli was playing for the international squad, there was quite a lot of racism there. Didn't want to let him take the penalty. A lot of different things that were going off. So again, I'm not going to say you're always going to have racism in Italy, but it seems to be a repetitive process in Italy that there is a lot of racism towards black players. But Ian Wright smashed it for me. I don't know if you've seen the comment. I just said pussy. You want to
he sort it though. Slightly still. I don't know he saw it.
But yeah, I've seen quite a few tweets of like people throwing out ways that they should distribute punishment to teams. That I seen one that was quite drastic. When I say drastic, I take that back. One that was quite heavy is that you deduct the team points so that they go down in the league. So then that alters the way that
half of them teams won't even be there. That's the case.
I was about to say it can, but then once again it can breed resentment.
What about internationals though? Because it happens international friendlies. It happens. Like obviously the England players, who did play? Was it Serbia? They played
Montenegro one.
When they did the walkout. That one.
Fab, there was no.
They just kicked them out of the competition.
So what you're saying that the drastic should be
it's got to be something very drastic just to try and stop these people.
It stops the revenue, innit?
But then again, do fans of other countries then start going to games in that shirt, making those noises so that that country can get kicked out?
It can be abused. It can be abused.
So again, it's one of those. It's how do you police it? Is there any? Do you mind having any suggestions?
Yeah, I just think it's bigger than football. I feel like if I dislike him, I'm gonna slate him for something other than his colour. Like I feel like if I'm watching someone play football, I'm not gonna. I don't get the psyche around. Yeah, let's call him for his colour. You can say he's crap. You can say he's overweight. You can say so much stuff. So I think it's the
one thing you cannot change about you, and it follows you after the sport.
No, but I don't know how it gets you. I don't know how it gets people anger. I've seen. I can't remember when Sterling was taking the front. I see someone. I don't know what it was. It was anger. So I was like, that's why I think it's bigger than football. For someone, they can say, "Oh yeah, I'm not racist. I've got black friends." Like away from football, but how do you get angry because someone of colour, a black player, or a black footballer's on the pitch? I just don't. I feel
that they're using the sport and the fact that they can jeer and taunt to let out some of how they really feel about certain people. Because to have that much anger and vim for a man that he doesn't know, and he's gone straight to race, like there's underlying issues with that person. They probably do feel like that, but when it's football, a lot of these fans think it's mad acceptable. This is why they do it so often. Oh yeah, you know, you're black bastard, or they'll throw a banana skin on the pitch, or make monkey chants. Fam, that's not cool in or out of football. So why do you feel it's acceptable in this arena to say that?
I'm not justifying it or saying or trying to make it right in any way, but I'm saying football or any sport is passion, a lot of passion in sport. And if you played football or a sport and you are very passionate and you know you're conscious of your own ability and whatever else, you get frustrated. See what he's trying to do there, trying to go people in. But it's again, shit. I don't think he clearly doesn't follow football.
He doesn't because if you know
he whispered that as well. Whispered.
All right, as a Manchester United fan, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the right time for you to say that.
I'm not.
There's only one shit that's sinking right now, and it ain't us.
It's not bothered.
It's not the right time. It's not the right time.
I was just saying, random football. Racism is a game of two halves. Anything. What does any football quote you can come up with? He plays the final whistle. Over to the fat lady sings. Oh, that's what sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Before I was rudely interrupted. My point was that passion does fuel different things in people. And again, I think if you are a sporting man and you play sport, or a sporting woman for instance, and you play sports of some sort, you get passion, and sometimes that passion turns into anger. And
but that shouldn't be your first sport.
It shouldn't. No, you're right. But I think
that shouldn't
it shouldn't. But if that's the first thing that you see, that could be something that you.
But that's why I said that there must be underlying issues with the person.
But whether you see,
because if your go-to thing in your most passionate moment and your heated moment
is something about that person,
but it's not just something about that person.
If that person was fat,
but fat you can change. Fat is something that essentially
you might not be able to change.
Yeah, but you can lose weight.
But you can lose weight. You can.
You can't change.
But you can't unless you literally bleach your skin out and change yourself. You cannot do that.
Don't think for 1 second I'm trying to
massive.
justify racism.
No,
being racist. What I'm trying to do is make you understand. Try and put it from the other way.
But look how many black people are on the pitch. It's no longer personally that person anymore. So let's say, for example, you get Raheem Sterling on the pitch at the same time as, I don't know, let's say Danny Sturridge, right? If you've got a legitimate beef with Sterling because you're vexed that he's just bagged the goal and whatever, and you're in your most passionate moment, and you think to say, you're a black bastard, and you're a Liverpool fan, that black bastard is not just for him. That's also for Danny Sturridge, who's also on the same pitch, playing for a team that you love.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's no longer personal. So what now?
But it's also for the fans behind you as well.
Yeah, but the same people, the same fans that are being racist will cheer when the black person scores. So again, it's
foolishness.
If Sterling scored for England, they'll be cheering.
It's ignorance.
But
That's
if
what
you're
it is.
missing the chance,
talking about this is about more man, rice and peas. Man, relax, man.
Oh yeah, black coal down the road.
You know what I mean?
Black coal.
But again, it is what it is. That is the, like, not say the norm, but that's what it is. That's what is happening. Those are the things that you can't change.
No, you can change.
No,
you can change.
You
have to take a harsh stance with it before anybody starts to change.
Yes.
You have to start kicking clubs out, deducting points, doing different things, because it's not going to change unless a country gets removed.
No,
it's a world problem.
I think unless the club or team sort of not advocate, or even the lack of like punishment to people or fans who do it, then I think it should be the club who get punished. But I think you need to be naming, shaming, and dealing with the people who do it. Yeah. So
that could violence, man.
What do you mean? Like racist? Like you can't say it's going to be. You get more police there then. Yeah. Like the same way carnival's covered in police. Like if it's an actual issue, they should get more police there. Like they've stopped. There's talks of stopping wireless because of violence, and the carnival, like Knott's carnivals, been like up in arms for so many years because of violence. But if people are being racially abused at a football ground, they need to get more police there to get people arrested if they're racist. Yeah. So Joe Bloggs is saying whatever he's saying, arrested, like he's getting dragged out, arrested. Someone else is there arrested. If 20,000, game stops. Game stops. We get more. You're not leave like you're all getting arrested. I think it needs to be that severe. I feel like like you can say, oh yeah, we're going to ban the club. Unless the clubs have done something similar to what Juve have come out with and say, oh, it's 50-50, it's the players' fault and the fans' fault. That's what it is, Unless it's like that, then I think that's
the captain, though, isn't it?
That's manager as well.
That's where I think the club needs to be punished. But I feel like because I've experienced racism like firsthand. As a 16-year-old, I was a ball boy. I was at Chesterfield, and we were playing Oldham. And I can remember going around to the side, like I was going to go behind the opposition goal, and the steward was like, "Oh, don't go there. You won't like it." At 16, I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, sure. So I've gone round there. I was 16. A kid who must have been about 10 said, "Nigger." His dad looked at me, "Yeah, nigger." Wow. People in the like they were saying "nigger," and at that time I was like, "Wow!" Like,
but they thought that was acceptable.
Yeah, but I was scared. I was scared of that. I'm from Notts. Like I'm in Chesterfield against Oldham, and I'm like, well, I'm getting it. So I've gone back around the other side. The stewards don't do anything, and I feel like I'm not saying that stewards don't do anything now because some stewards do a good job, but I feel like you get sort of a freedom of speech. And if you're in a crowd, you can say whatever, and there won't really be repercussions unless you throw a bottle. Like if someone throws a bottle on the pitch or someone runs on the pitch, they get in, escorted off, and they're done. Grealish got punched in the face the other week, and he got like the guy's been done. And I feel like the same severity should be done if someone does anything racist. Like I feel like it should be the same.
There's a proven system that works. Look at American sports, like. Key example, Russell Westbrook, like a couple of weeks back, guy from the stands and whatever has said something like, "Oh yeah, get like you should be on your knees like you used to," kind of thing, as far as like a racial tone. And he's all types of tones. This is what I'm saying. But the joke is the spotlight.
Look at Justin.
Hey, me. Shit.
But like. The reaction got the spotlight from how Russell Westbrook kind of replied to it, because he was like he wasn't having any of it. He said, "Listen, I'll tump down you and your wife, all the rest of it," because they were both saying it. But obviously, like that kind of raised the challenge of how should sports people conduct themselves when having stuff like that happen to them. Later on down the line, when they investigated it, because the guy was trying to say, "Oh, he was icing his knees," so I was like, "Oh, you should get on your knees like you used to do, because of his icing his knees." And it's clearly not that, because no one would react like that in a situation. But when they looked at that person and how they'd reacted to him beforehand, looked at his tweets, everything, when they zeroed in on exactly what this guy was about, preaching all levels of racism, they're out in his clot and banned him from games, and that's it. Now he has to watch them from his blood clot sofa, and then on top of that, he's got a big hefty fine. Like it's like what Eugene said. As soon as you understand who that person is, or the person that starts it, or the main proprietor of that issue,
zero in on him.
You zero in on him and make an example out of him, the same way that they make examples out of us for less. To
do that, hooliganism, or whatever the damn word is. Hooliganism. That word. Yeah, say it again.
Hooliganism.
Yeah, hooliganism. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, man. That's been. Sorry. But that's been eradicated from football. Like man used to tump each other up at ball. Yeah, and that stopped because Millwall. Millwall still do it. But they've literally fingered the key.
They what?
Pause. Sorry. They pointed out the key individual.
I'm not fingers from pointed out.
That's a different level of hooliganism.
Sorry. Yeah. They pointed out the key individuals who started the hooliganism. Yeah, they're no longer around, aren't they? They're no longer around. So I think they can do the same with racism.
That's the way you should do it, though.
I think it's
take
a good start.
Take that person out,
Yeah.
and then what you do is you take out sections of the stadium, so you can't have that many people now, and then just make it bigger.
Yeah, but the layers run deep though,
Exit.
because it's socially acceptable, as much as they say it isn't, to be racist. I would
Yeah.
say, else
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
this shit
100%.
won't happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're gonna identify and point that finger those people out, right? You're gonna be pointing out certain individuals that have a greater impact on the sport or in society itself.
Broke up one piece.
Sorry, fella. Sorry, fella.
But like players can take a bigger stance in this. Like they can refuse to train. I seen Bolton the other day. They've not been paid. Their players aren't training.
What overrated? No, I wouldn't say training.
I'm saying but it's not just the players. It's not just the players. It's the whole club.
No, I'm on about.
In terms of racism,
if you get racist abuse, stop.
If the racism is going on in my club, players have to take a stance though. And if players refuse to train, refuse to do certain things, the club have to take a stance.
I'd say match, not
Yeah.
But
training.
they have to take a stance though.
Yeah,
if
but-
you make it big enough, like I don't know what's happened to those 3 Chelsea fans or whether they still can go to the games or not. It's not been really much more
out,
been said
has it?
about. Much more's not been said. But if players actually took a stance and said, you know what, I'm not training until something happens about it.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean, but I see what you're saying about
but training is an area.
That's an interaction with your own
area.
No, you can still do your own. You can do your own training.
No, but you know what it is? It goes to what Nice saying. Racism's still universally accepted.
This is what I mean. It has to be a big stance.
That's what I was saying.
It's a small part. It has to be a small start.
It goes down
it
to
starts somewhere.
lyrics, it goes down to comedy, it goes down to
there's a lot of stuff.
People are just allowed to say whatever they want. It's like, for argument's sake, on Big Brother a couple of years ago, the girl turned around and says, "Oh yeah, my niggers." She was still allowed to stay in the
shouldn't
tin.
be in
like,
the show.
What's that?
Gone.
So it's just racism's just there, and until you get to the core of it, and however that's going to happen, I don't know. But this football thing, as much as it's important, it's a small part of the pie, a really small part.
But this is what I'm saying. People have to start taking big stances. The big one, she's got never again.
It's like
other
marginalised groups or different isms, they will fight their causes. Whereas I feel like racism, whether it's towards black people, white people, any race, people don't stand up for it.
It's kind of brushed
under.
Yeah.
It's just, and so I just
it's true.
There's
not enough of us that are standing by the strong stances that very few are taking. I mean, what was his name? He was like I forgot what club he played for. But there was a footballer who. No. He played for an English club. I don't know whether he played for. Yeah, this conversation.
Yeah. Should we just move on? Alright. Okay. Last topic. In Fergie time, I might start with you, Reeks. Top 5. Defensive players.
What do
you mean?
We do that.
Top 5 defensive players in the Prem.
What? Are we saying now?
Now. Now.
Cool.
I say now.
Ooh, that's
top 5.
Like top 5. Okay, we'll go this side. Top 5.
So
I'll give you.
Virgil starts.
And Van. Yeah. I think De Gea.
Laporte.
Wait.
What, you're classing keeper as well then?
Yeah, defensive. They're not going to be attacking, are they?
Laporte's.
I won't be like top. Yeah. Would you say Laporte? Yeah. Would you say one of the Spurs?
You think Laporte? Really?
I think it's
Robertson.
You could put him in attacking.
I wouldn't say he's one of the top 5 defenders.
Arguably attacking, but
he's a right back, isn't he? So
left back.
Or left back, right
but
back.
He's predominant. Gone, mate.
I wouldn't say he.
That's attacking.
Yeah. But I say like fully. So obviously we're going to go on to attackers next.
Vertonghen.
So yeah,
Still all type of mad words.
What, Phil Jones?
Phil Jones, yeah.
Are you throwing shots?
It's not. It's alright. It's not top 5. Top 5 facials. No.
Huh?
It's top 5, but it's not.
Facials. So finger in football, we've got top 5 facials. You man,
it's not. It's not top 5 defenses.
Lewis. So if we've got our 5, we'll be saying Kante in. Would you put Kante in?
What is
top 5 defensive? Because he's more defensive, isn't he?
Oh, he's got to be there. He's got to be there.
You put
If he plays
Kante.
in his proper position.
He's got to be there. Definitely.
Kante,
Facts.
Van Dijk,
Yeah.
De Gea.
Alonso. I feel
Alonso.
I wouldn't
It's
say
dropped off
defensive.
now.
I still
I
think
wouldn't
he's
say
more
he's dropped
attacking.
off. I wouldn't say he's dropped off.
Would you put De Gea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've
You're hating on
got 2
Alonso.
more spots for top 5 defensive
in the
players.
Prem.
Would you have David Luiz? I think
Wan-
that's been
Wan-Bissaka.
Liquati, you know. I think that's been
Wan-Bissaka.
Liquati. Would you have
Wan-Bissaka. Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka, man.
That's a top 5 in the league.
I think he's done
done
well.
way
He's
more
done
than-
bits.
than-
Done
some people that
Oliveira.
can-
What? Man,
He's done bits.
You've been watching,
But the thing is, though,
like you can't go, like
even there's 2 other keepers ahead of De Gea right now, if I'm being totally honest. So, if he's
you can have
got
another
it,
keeper.
Kerwin over keeper.
Lloris.
no, not Lloris.
Would you have Lloris?
No Spurs,
think
man.
he's-
Buns.
Edison. That'd have to be Edison,
Um,
wouldn't
Edison.
Edison over Lloris?
100%.
Allison.
Huh?
Allison. Keeper.
it? No, I think
Liverpool.
Virgil and them man have been helping him
Who
out.
do you think is the second best centre back in the league is? Because
The second best centre
So we've
half
got-
in the
yeah.
Premiership.
we've got Van Dijk in. Who would you
Uh,
say? Who would you say is the next?
You're right.
Who would you say the next is?
Probably. It's a tough one. It is a tough one.
Because we've got, so we've got,
You'd have to be
defensive, it's
no,
not.
so I mean we've got a defensive midfielder.
Pause, yeah, but like you'd have to be fit or in general.
I'm just-
I'm just
Whatever
saying.
you want, mate. What do you want, fella? Who do you want to put in, fella?
I was going to say company still. but-
Oh, he's not top 5. Not top 5 in the league. I think Laporte. I think Laporte. I think
it's probably Laporte.
What do you think?
I think Laporte.
Benjamin Mendy.
I
He
think
never
Laporte.
plays.
I don't know about that.
Who?
Mendy.
He never plays.
This is what I'm saying.
He had a great start to the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't played.
Yeah, I don't want to put him.
Kyle Walker.
I'd say
Kyle
we need
Walker,
someone
no
defensive.
chance.
Someone defensive.
No Tottenham. There's going to be none.
What is it, defensive midfield?
No, so, like,
No, just a defensive
no,
player.
you got if you got fullbacks like you got
Right,
Walker.
I was gonna say
I
Otamendi,
was
but
about to say, let's go for Otamendi. That's what I was going to say.
Otamendi.
Why not?
No,
I wouldn't pick him first.
I would not pick him. He's a.
So
Come on,
should we just stick with 4 then?
How about
It's
Socrates?
tough, mate.
4.
No, Socrates has been every this season though.
Jenkinson. Let's just stick with the 4, innit? Let's stick with the 4. So we've
Smalling.
No, if you're gonna go with them, we can go play for player, fam. We can go play for player.
Chris Smalling.
Herrera.
Herrera. It's a good shot, to be fair.
That's
Herrera.
yeah. He's in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
have,
5.
I'd have put Torreira in there still.
That's top 5 in the league.
What, defensive mid? You don't
He don't even play no more. About top
You
5.
know, it's top
Doesn't
3.
he?
He did alright in the beginning, but he don't play.
What?
Guendouzi.
Yeah,
Sacho Bob.
I rate him high.
He's more than
Sacho Bob's decent.
Okay, now the flip side. Reeks, you want to start this off? Top 5 attacking players in the Prem.
Zinedine Zidane.
Are we all in agreement?
Score from a corner.
Eden, yeah?
No.
Hazard.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
What?
ultra.
Is that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
What-
De Bruyne.
Yeah.
No, not De Bruyne. He's not available.
Raheem Sterling, mate.
Mate.
So where'd you put him, man? Where'd you put him?
Sterling,
Where'd you
Raheem
put him?
Sterling, mate.
You're not gonna
Aguero.
put Aguero in there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so who we got?
Raheem
we've got
Sterling.
Eds, Ream, Stills.
Yep.
Eds, Ream, Stills. Eds, Serge.
I want to put Mane in there, you know.
Mane.
I think Mane's been going in.
Top 5.
I think Mane's
It's
been
good. It's
going
good.
Yeah,
Some people.
almost
It's
got you,
good.
though.
It's some people.
I'm
It's
saying
some
De
people.
Bruyne
It's gonna
anyway.
miss out.
We have to put Son in there then.
Sorry.
in. Son, yeah.
We have to put Son in there.
So
to get
we've
past
already got
five.
over 5. No, we
What
need
about
5
Simon?
now.
This is big.
I think we should
You
take.
need 5?
I think we should
Big
have
man.
strikers as well as. I think we should have strikers. as
Attacking
well.
midfield.
Okay, so you want top 5 midfielders.
Yeah.
Top 5 strike.
Yeah.
That's very easy. Okay, we'll do top 5
It's very
midfielders.
easy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 5
This is a
midfielders.
fun topic.
Top 5 midfielders. Top 5
Can we just
midfielders.
edit him out? Like
Hey, I'm not here.
Just lean that way.
Yeah, right.
Out of
Out
shot.
of shot.
Top 5 midfielders.
Top 5 midfielders.
And all
KDB.
wingers. Midfielders or wingers. Then.
KDB.
KDB will go back into the list,
Is
would you
it?
say?
Oh, we're giving him that though.
Yes.
Only just
What?
because he's come
100%,
back. No, because he's been-
Every time he makes a come, he's fire. He's sick.
Man, the match
That's one play you can't really question,
can't
man.
question him.
Can't
I don't
question
know
him,
if you
man.
just can't
Poggers.
question it because there's people that have been doing it all season, and yeah,
And then-
right, yeah, like Hazard, for
Has he been doing it all season now?
I don't think he has.
I don't
That's
think
all.
it. Not all season.
Fam.
That's
Yeah.
all.
15, man.
We do fantasy football, man.
I'm just saying.
And it's
Come on, mate.
and it's top of the
De
list.
Bruyne
for
for me is in.
Fraser.
Sterling.
Fraser.
Bournemouth. He's been alright.
I wouldn't say top 5. I think
in the Prem right
I
now.
wouldn't say top 5.
No, I think Zaha. I think Ericsson. I think. Even like Sigurdsson, there's two
Silvers.
Bernardo.
Let's put Bernardo in.
Bernard's in, mate.
Put Bernardo in here.
Bernard's in.
I think we've got over 5 again, first.
CZ
5 again.
You say Everton.
But I've got to be diplomatic, innit? If I didn't buy 5.
You're all United players.
No, only one.
Only one.
Poggers, mate. Poggers. He's the only. Yeah, Martial will probably be top 10. But yeah, I think early Poggers top 5. Okay. Strikers then. We'll just go straight to strike. We haven't agreed on one. Let's see if we go strike. Top 5 strikers.
Aguero.
Uber.
Kane.
I put Laka.
Rash.
What?
Definitely Rash.
Lukaku.
Jimenez.
You know what? Jimenez.
So would you have hit? Wait. So we've got about 7.
Yeah.
So
Jimenez definitely top 5. 100%.
Okay, so you put Jimenez.
Yeah.
Which one? The scorers one.
The scorers one is ultimate, isn't it? So.
Oh, you got that one, yeah? Yo, he's back in. So who we got? Jimenez, Kane.
Yeah,
no, top 5.
Okay,
we've got the top 5.
Aguero, Kane's in.
Kane,
are we talking this season?
Jimenez,
all time?
Consistency.
No, this season.
This season, second top goal scorer.
Uber.
Do you know we didn't put him in midfield? Salah,
yeah, I thought about Salah. He's got to be striker, isn't
Does he
it?
strike? So is he going?
He's got to be in there, isn't he? He's got 20 goals, isn't it?
So I guess that's another name.
He's not even playing well.
Sergio Aguero. Kane, Uber, and
No United fan. No United
Salah.
players.
Yeah.
Rashford.
So Jimenez is above Rashford.
Yeah, 100%. He's got more goals than Rashford.
Rashford.
But is that a fire?
Orba's not in. Uber's not in for me.
Rashford had a good season. Yeah, he's not been better than Jimenez. Sorry.
Bloody hell! Got Wolves fan here now. Bloody hell!
Mexicans.
What Wolves?
Alright, so as you can see, guys, we've got agree. Ooh, let's have your 2 pence.
Oh, what?
On anything.
Rashford, innit?
Rashford or Jimenez?
Rashford, innit?
Rashford, innit?
Yes.
Why Rashford?
Steph Curry.
Because black. I don't know.
That's why people are racist. That's why people are racist.
Yo, keep racism out of football.
That is why people are racist.
I didn't even know they were that either. So.
Yo, Jimenez from Jamaica.
I don't know the brother.
Jimenez is from Jamaica.
Cool.
Yo, shout out Jimenez.
I didn't know him, bro. I don't know.
Don't
ask me nothing about football, you know.
Jimenez is Mexican.
I don't know nothing.
God damn it.
Score from a corner as well. Jimenez scored from a corner. And Mazza's leaving him like that.
I don't know that.
Because of light complexion.
Do you remember from episode 1 when I don't know if we asked it on cam, but do you know what roulette is?
No. I already had this here. I need to do
the
the
casino
for me, you know, bro. Yeah, that's all I know. Roulette in the casino.
Alright, that's
The
cool.
Russian roulette.
Shout out to the HE double for giving you the prop there.
Assist
A
me.
few props, innit? A few
It's got
props
ball
today.
middle.
A few props. But I think it's been another great episode. This is DJM. Don't judge, man. See you on the rebound.
Stay fly, get high.
You can smell the weed. Niggas doubt pessimism ain't affecting me. Fuel to the fire, take it higher than they ever said. Frequent flight, sink like 7-6.